See, the crowd of the audience is, I guess, like an element of like my crowd of people in the city, right? So generally it's a lot of people that are either in the world of tech, the world of SaaS, the world of capital markets. I have some lawyer friends. Then I also just have like all my whole sales crew of people, right? So I have a bunch of people that are either in like supply chain management, freight forwarding, anything to that extent, right? So the crowd's pretty broadband. I also spend a lot of time in gyms, so there's that crowd too. Cool. I find generally it's just ambitious people who are trying to figure out their way in Toronto the best way possible. Nobody comes to the city to sleep. Right?
That's true.
Everybody comes here to work at the end of the day, and you want to basically have this. The way I sort of analogize my time in Toronto, it's almost like time in the NFL. I'm not going to live here forever, right? But by the time in the time that I'm here, I'm going to make sure it's worthwhile, right? And I find that's generally the kind of friends that I have right now and people that are around me, right? Overly ambitious people. Sometimes not the best for a business, because then like when you have a good business idea, rather than buying your stuff, you're like, I'll just do it myself, right? But no, I think that leads into obviously the conversation. So if you guys could begin, feel free to introduce yourself to the crowd. Like, so what are your names and what do you do as day jobs first?
Yeah, I'll go first. My name is Daniel. I guess my relationship with Max is that we've known each other since high school. Max moved here from Hong Kong when we were grade 10, grade 11, and then we just became friends really quickly. I think I was copying his math homework because he's just like really good at math. But my current day job, I'm director of finance at a B2B SaaS startup in Ottawa.
Nice.
We're Series A. We're around almost 100 people now. And we raised $50 million from the US private equity firms.
That's great. That's not an easy thing to do, especially in this environment. You did it last year?
Yeah, last year, but I joined them when they got the term sheet.
Oh, right? That's a good sign.
Previous to that, I was controller at another seed stage, Ottawa-based startup. There were 25 people, and they were going through a raise motion. Wasn't successful with that at that time. And then they introduced me to these founders. And then, because they just raised, right? And their investors were pushing for a VP of finance. Right? And then, in their opinion, it was too early to bring in like a really senior finance person. And they needed someone who can like build from the ground up, have experience with earlier stage startups. So they brought me in. I was the manager in FP&A, even though it's like a one-man team. And now I'm managing a team of 2, a controller and an AR person. Man,
you should be really proud. Like, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Dude, that's fucking amazing, man. That's shit, man. That's not real, man. That's not easy to do, man. I was not doing that when I was 24, 35, right? But that's a huge accomplishment. You should be very proud of that.
I mean, what really helped was me and Max doing our own venture, like at the end of university. It's like during the pandemic, we built a digital menu kind of app for restaurants. It was like during COVID, right? So we're thinking about how can we digitize, restaurants, right? Because like no one wanted to touch menus at that point. And then we're playing with like technology like OCR, like trying to take a picture of the menu, turn it into a digital menu. That was one GPT just came out. And then we're trying to do that. But then we couldn't figure it out. Right? That got me into this program in Toronto called Next 36. It's like a kind of an incubator, kind of like YC, but like in Canada. They do like 36 young entrepreneurs every year across the country. And that really got my foot into the door, like in the tech ecosystem, like in the more mainstream tech ecosystem. And I met a lot of really driven entrepreneurs, and it was like a really eye-opening experience. And I just couldn't go back to my day job. I was working at a Big 4 accounting firm as an auditor. I just couldn't go back to that. And then I just started looking for work in startup, and these guys gave me a chance at a seed stage. And then now I'm here, so.
Dude, that's sick. I feel like life's all about taking opportunities and running with it, right? You've done a really good job. I'm proud. I know it doesn't matter, but that's sick.
And I've known him for a very long time.
And
it's just, this guy just keeps growing,
I'll also say, man, honestly, it's very rare the older you get, especially as men, to maintain a relationship people you had in high school, right? So that's also like a good sign of the relationship you guys have with each other.
We've been tight ever since grade 11.
That's dope.
The bond is the ambition that we have to build and build. Right? Without that, I don't think it would be as close.
I think it's all about fulfillment at the end of the day. Like you just want something for yourself, right? Like that's what it is. So you want to work with friends at the end.
It's true, man. Max, tell me more about yourself.
I don't have a fancy story like that. I moved from Hong Kong to Canada back in 2014. And went to U of T. Obviously, that's kind of where we really grew our relationship that way. But like ever since graduating, I did Pick Easy along with Daniel. So it was like kind of restaurant tech company, as you said. And then I actually went off to do garage doors for a while. So what I did was I was just running Google Ads. I had my website set up, and I would just run Google Ads and get some contractors and suppliers to actually finish the job. And I would just go do it for estimates. the money there was pretty good, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like I just didn't feel like it was something that got me excited in the morning.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, maybe I should jump back into tech.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I landed a job at Sinchi. So I started as a BDR, and within 8 months, I got a promotion because I was a top performer.
Nice.
And now I'm an account executive at Sinchi. We sell data collaboration platform that makes data integration obsolete. It's a very technical product, and we're Series B funded. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like we sell to CIOs, CTOs at enterprise organizations across North America.
That's pretty dope. Okay, so you guys seem like overly ambitious people. And the interesting thing is, I find like ambitious people are either idea people or execution people. And I've realized in life, all that matters is execution. Literally, all that matters is execution.
Yeah.
The smartest people I know in life do not execute, right? So what do you think is the magic sauce to you guys actually being able to execute so well?
I think it's just teamwork. I think honestly, Dan. So are you familiar with MBTI?
No.
Okay, you don't know what your Myers-Briggs is?
Oh yeah, Gee, that's what got me.
What's yours?
Science,
What's
bro.
yours?
I don't INFJ or something like that. I think.
INFJ?
I'm not. It's been so long since I've done it, to be quite frank.
Wow, you're an introvert?
Yeah.
You really push yourself.
I think it's because I think they say introverts get energized around people, whereas extroverts get energized when they're by themselves.
That's the way around.
Yeah, is it?
Or extrovert is when you get energy from interacting with people.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you seem like an extrovert.
See, I find like I do like. Don't get me wrong. I definitely like. I'm really good at networking, really good at talking, but I also like it's a necessity for me to get alone time.
Yeah.
I will go insane.
Yeah.
If I don't have my alone time, right? So that's always thought of it. I have a bit introverted tendencies.
Yeah, I mean, as to everyone, it's a spectrum, right? But
Yeah.
I assume you drink a lot of coffee?
Yeah.
How many cups do you drink a day?
Yo, today, oh my, actually the last 2 days, man, it's like a sideways 8. Probably like 4 cups, and I also do have coffee too. So you know, put butter in the coffee. Yeah.
That's like a good weight loss technique, I believe.
I didn't know it because I've lost a lot of weight, to be honest. I thought it was just like running a business. I thought that's all.
You need coffee feeling for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. But no, that's actually really great. So you guys think essentially like the reason why you guys are able to execute so well essentially just because.
Yeah, so I was gonna expand on that. So
Yeah.
he's INTJ, I'm ENTJ.
Yeah.
And what I found is, with INTJs, they're architects, right? So they think a lot.
Yeah.
They can come up with very different scenarios for a particular kind of different outcomes, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's more about ideation as well as the execution pieces. And the reason why I say that is because we have to brainstorm a lot.
Yeah.
And he comes up with kind of tactically, how would you do something?
Yeah.
Whereas for me, it's more about idea and then execution.
It's like I tend to get decision paralysis because I think a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Which I'm trying to get out of that. And we've gotten much better at collaborating, and like him being pushy on like let's just start.
Yeah.
Stop thinking, let's start. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna ignore all of the thoughts I have about why there's a pothole here, there's a pothole there.
Yeah.
Let's just do it, and that has worked out more than the fact that before it used to be, is this a great idea? Let's think more about it. Are there competitors? Let's do a whole analysis.
Yeah.
And then that's just such a waste of time. Just do it. The best way to get ahead is actually to get something out there, talk to customers, bias towards action.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that's one thing I've definitely realized, and actually it makes so much sense. So and like hopefully don't dictate this like pejoratively, but it's like thinker executor, right? That's basically it's like that's.
I mean, we both execute, but I'm the one who's pushing the team to
Yeah. No, but that makes perfect sense, man. Actually, I think that's you're right. That is the magic sauce in your execution, right?
Yeah.
Because I definitely know a lot of really intelligent people that have all these great ideas. I was having a conversation today, and this guy was like, "Oh, another idea of mine that I was taking. I actually literally have to tell this because probably you didn't execute on it, right?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, if I have the time," I'm like, "Sounds like you have a lot of time." Right? Like that's what it comes down to. Execution is everything, right? No, that's great. Okay, so obviously you guys worked on your initial venture. So how did you so sell wisely?
Yeah.
That's basically what you guys are working on right now, right? Okay, if you could explain sell wisely in a sentence, what would it be? I know it's the worst way of but actually I'll put it better. What's your 30-second elevator pitch for sell wisely?
For sure. So it's an auto hyper-personalization tool for cold outbound messages. And the problem that we're really trying to solve is that salespeople either don't do hyper-personalization or they hate doing it.
Yeah.
And the reason being, it takes a long time for them to actually do the research on their LinkedIn profile. It usually takes around 3 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And obviously, you don't get as much of a reply rate if you're not hyper-personalized.
Exactly.
So that's exactly a problem that we're trying to solve for.
Okay. So where did you get the idea for this?
Yeah, I mean, so I was working in sales, right? Like, and as a BDR, you're doing a lot of outreach. It's very tiring work, honestly. Like cold calls, I was making around 200 calls a day.
Oh my god, trust me, I know that. Individually too, or with a power dialer?
Back then, we actually didn't have a power dialer.
Yeah.
But pushed for the company to buy an auto dialer. And now we actually have an AI parallel dialer called Concert. And it's actually really good.
Yeah.
So you're allowed to call 4 numbers at a time. And if someone picks up, then you just start talking. The idea came about just because of my job, and I hated the hyper-personalization aspects of it. I've tried it for like 2 weeks, and it just took too much time. Like 2 hours a day, just looking through LinkedIn. I just felt like a robot.
For it not to work out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's the thing about sales. Basically, it's all a numbers game. 20% conversion rate's actually pretty good. Nobody understands that, right? But still, that's 20%. It's like 2 out of 10, right? It's a lot of work to be done. No, that's really good. So, when did you guys start working on Sell Wisely?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
2-3 weeks ago. Actually, we had a different version of the idea, which was using AI to actually extract call content and actually honing down on the customer's pain points and basically summarizing the call for the follow-up call.
Okay.
Like to extract those pain points and actually just honing on those. What we found was we were leveraging GPT. We're leveraging GPT now again. But GPT is not good enough for content extraction, and then actually it's not good enough for like a 30-minute call, right? And it just felt like a lesser of a pain than what we're solving now.
Yeah, and it's not just that. When we were doing like problem validation, I used to call VP of sales outside of my full-time job just to validate the idea, right? And we didn't get a lot of good responses there. There were a lot of companies that have already that function built in. So the original value prop was for AI to just identify like with a certain sales methodologies. So for example, there's METPIC, which is like certain metrics, right? Like stuff like that. And what we found is that a lot of companies already have those functions built in to update their CRM. Whereas, so we quickly pivoted. We still wanted to stay in sales because at the end of the day, like, it's an ROI-driven activity. It's probably an easier thing to sell because if you're able to prove out the fact that you're able to get more results with a tool, then people would have like higher likelihood of buying. And so, like GPT 3.5, GPT 4 came out, so we're just like, you can probably do something with auto hyper-personalization. So we just tried to, do it on ChatGPT, and turns out the messages weren't bad, and we just thought to, scale it. And we also have a tech co-founder. I know he's not here today, but he's an amazing tech guy. Like, he's a sessional lecturer at UFT too.
Oh, no way.
And he's pretty crazy.
That's unreal.
Essentially, 3 weeks ago was like when we formed the idea for this personalization tool. And then our technical founder built it within like a weekend. And then we started building pipeline, we started talking to customers. And over the last 2 weeks where we actually started building pipe, we talked to 35 potential customers. And then that's a combination of warm intros, leveraging our own connections, and using our own tool to reach out. I think we've done 35 demos. We have like 8 to 10 people on trial.
Nice.
Let's see where it goes.
That's unreal. Honestly, I think again another thing that is probably a really that I find really valuable to what you guys are capable of doing, the speed to actually being able to go from idea to theorization to actually implementing the actual idea itself too, right? That's huge, right?
I keep telling him like speed is of the essence here because at the end of the day, like AI is just going to take over so quick. Have you heard about the book Homo Deus?
I have,
I read the entire book and that was eye-opening for me because I read that back in like 2016 or something. And I was like, wow, AI is going to grow exponentially. So
interesting came out 2016 because 2017 was the new when like basically the new engine for AI came out, or new engine LLMs. Because that was like the change in the format of how people are doing. Very interesting, right? But no, that's honestly great. So okay, you guys are very still much so in the early stages of this. You're moving very fast. Where do you see this? Like, where do you see this going? Like, what's the idea?
We were having this conversation earlier. Like, what's the final vision? Like, let's say perfect state, right? And this is like a really far-fetched vision. But this is like, kind of our North Star kind of vision, which is like, we want to be in a state where you tell us your ICP, your ideal customer profile, and we'll get you on meetings, right? And we eliminate the parts that's tedious, it's non-value adding, right? Really, the value of you selling your product is actually getting in front of people who will benefit from your product. That's why there's metrics like SQLs.
Exactly.
Right? You're trying to measure if it's a qualified prospect, because at the end of the day, if they're not qualified, they're not getting value, not ROI, they're going to churn.
Exactly. And then it's funny, another conversation I had today was well, it's probably a bunch of things, but lead gen is the easiest thing to actually determine ROI.
Yeah.
Lead generation is the easiest thing to determine ROI, right? Like with web dev, SEO, content optimization, sometimes it's a bit up in the air, right? Like you're not exactly sure, but this is straightforward. I paid this much, I got this much out of it, right? So I think that's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. All right.
I appreciate that.
So what's the best way? Somebody's interested in basically like reaching out to you guys. Somebody's interested in using Sell Wisely. How do they get in contact with you guys?
You just add us on LinkedIn, or send us an email.
Email on LinkedIn. Nice.
LinkedIn is the perfect way because we're a LinkedIn tool. We're on LinkedIn. Everybody's on LinkedIn, and our ICP are on LinkedIn.
So why don't you remind people your names on LinkedIn and how they can get in contact with you?
First name is Daniel. Last name is ZHAO. Daniel Zhao.
And mine is pretty simple. It's just Max Wu. MAXWOO.
Both on LinkedIn?
Yep.
And that's the best way to get in contact with you guys, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What's the email? What's the email to reach out to?
MAXYMWOO@gmail.com.
Okay, excellent. Well, yeah, honestly, I really appreciate this meeting.
Yeah, of course.
I was really looking forward to this, and I think this is amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Yeah. Let's see. See, man, that's all it is, bro.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Super quick.